We begin in Indonesia and the race against time to find survivors from a double disaster. Friday's devastating earthquake and then the tsunami. It's now evening on the northern island of Sulawesi, and countless thousands of terrified people are preparing to spend a second night in makeshift camps or out in the open. The destruction wrought by the magnitude 7.5 tremor and the ensuing 3-meter-high wall of water is clearly evident from the air. Indonesia's president visited the affected region earlier today, getting a close-up and personal look at the damage and ongoing rescue operations. Here's what we know at this moment. Authorities now say well over 800 people have died, but they expect this number to spike as more heavy machinery is brought in to help dig through rubble. And aid workers are reaching outlying communities. One village chief fears up to 200 people could be buried under the debris of a residential complex. That's about 1/4 of the town's population. The government estimates almost 2.5 million people may have been affected in some way by the disaster. For the very latest, let's turn to reporter Simon Rocknin. He's in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta. Simon, thanks for joining us. We're hearing about a huge spike in the number of confirmed dead today. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this afternoon, the National Disaster Mitigation Agency said that there are 832 confirmed dead. That's almost a doubling from the number this morning and overnight. The numbers are expected to climb, however, as the 832, all bar 11 of those are in a city called Palu, which is the regional capital of central Sulawesi, which is where the earthquake and the tsunami hit on Friday evening. There is another city called Donggala of a population of 300,000 people, and there's been hardly any access or any word from there. Communication lines are down, and there's no way to get in there. The roads are blocked, landslides and debris, and the roads are cracked by the earthquake. So people are very concerned that there's going to be a major spike in the death toll once these places are accessed.
Well, let's talk a bit about those logistical challenges that officials are facing to try to get to some of those more isolated communities.
Yeah, well, Indonesia is a logistically challenging place at the best of times. I mean, it's grade or primary school geography here, but it's 17,000 islands stretched across 3,000 miles. Tectonically active. It's on the Pacific Ring of Fire, hence there are so many earthquakes and so many tsunamis. There are over 100 volcanoes here. And in the area that's been hit by the earthquake and tsunami, the roads are blocked, some of them are cracked. There's the difficulty in getting heavy lift equipment to the area. The closest they can get to, I think, is Makassar, which is a city of about 1 million people on the south of Sulawesi Island. And that, however, is a 12-hour drive away. So you have those kind of distances and those kind of hurdles just to get the equipment you need to clear the roads and then to try and dig through some of the rubble. There are reports of survivors, mobile phone signals, calls and screams from under-downed hotels and malls in some of the affected towns and cities. But people are scrambling with their hands, according to what I'm hearing. I spoke to somebody from the Indonesian Red Cross on the ground there just a few minutes ago. He said that there's not much heavy lift equipment. There's more that the relief workers could be doing, but logistically, because roads are damaged and the airport has been damaged, it's difficult and slow to get the equipment and the people they need to the areas in time.
For a closer look, we've reached out to Yeni Suryani in Jakarta. Now, she's the country manager for Catholic Relief Services in Indonesia. What are you hearing and what are you seeing from people on the ground about the extent of the damage?
What we receive report from the ground is that the damage is quite extensive and also devastating in most area of Donggala and Palu. So far, the government focused on search and rescue mission to find survivors and also other victims that may be still buried under the rubble and debris. So this is the priority from the government and also from the Red Cross and other personnel who already reached the area right now.
We're seeing pictures of rescuers digging through the rubble by hand, trying to find someone who might have survived. Can you tell us a bit more about the challenges that rescuers are facing, Yeni? And we may have lost. Oh, she's back up. Yeni, yeah, I don't know if you heard my question there. What are some of the challenges that rescuers and workers are facing digging through the rubble?
The challenge is first to get to that area because the access road is still closed, and also the airport is still damaged and only receive airplanes that carrying humanitarian aids and personnel who did the search and rescue. But also because the access is quite difficult, people would not be able to bring heavy equipment to clean up the rubble and debris from the ruins. So that will be another challenge to get heavy equipment to that area for cleanup services.
Can you talk a bit about how time is so important here? We're now into the third day, effectively, after this disaster, and the search for trying to find survivors who may still be under that rubble. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Jenny?
Yeah, time is of the essence right now because it's already the second day toward the third days after the disasters, and there may be some survivors there that need to be found. But also for the humanitarian workers, access to that area make it difficult for us to reach the area on time. So we are struggling now to get people and also materials down to that area, trying to help people in the first few days.
Well, let's talk about the first few days and looking ahead to this week. What are the big challenges for your workers?
The big challenge is, again, in addition to the access, but also how to ship and send the supplies from other cities, because Palu and Donggala is really heavily affected, and we need to bring supplies and aid materials from outside of the area. The closest city may be Manado in the north or the Makassar in the south. That will need another few days to get supplies shipped or transported to the affected area.